I'm here at the beautiful legislature building in Victoria, British Columbia. When we talk about Canada's independence, this story really needs to begin in some ways here in British Columbia. You know, in the 1850s, the American prospectors were coming up from California and they launched horrific violence against the indigenous people here in what was known as the Fraser Canyon War. And the violence was so over the top that it forced the British governor to come and establish a territory here, to establish the rule of law and kick out the plunderers who were coming over the border. I urge you to read the book, An American Genocide, about the destruction of the indigenous people in the California goldfields. It was attempted here, but the rule of law stopped it. That is a Canadian story. Now, that's not to say that Canada didn't do an enormous amount of harm and damage as our nation moved in to control indigenous lands. But these are histories we need to think about today, because in the fight against Donald Trump, British Columbia has held the line from the beginning. Under the leadership of Premier David Eby, there's been such a strong, consistent, coherent line. It's not like the attention grabbing that Doug Ford gets in Doug Ford's recent ads that has sent Donald Trump off the deep end and caused all kinds of splits in the United States, as people are saying to Donald Trump, why are you continuing to fight with Canada? Well, we know why Donald Trump's continuing to fight with Canada. It's the same as those plunderers who came over in the 1850s to take our resources, to take our land, to say that the border doesn't exist. But throughout it, the government of British Columbia has been solid from the get-go. They banned all American wine and beer sales in the province. David Eby told Donald Trump, you can keep your watery beer. The effect of that boycott has been extraordinary. We've seen an 85% drop in American spirit sales to Canada, a 97% drop in wine exports. Canada has basically wiped out the market for the United States spirits and wine industry. We've wiped it out. That's because of the strong leadership in the province here in British Columbia and other provinces. Now, we're looking also in British Columbia with increasing the trade to China. British Columbia is a trading province. The port of Vancouver is the busiest. We've seen an increase in trade shipments into the port of 13% in the first 6 months of this year. You're going to see it increase much higher as we start to open more of our trade negotiations with Singapore, Korea, China, as we move away from the United States. Now, that's not to say that there aren't incredible pressures here. Donald Trump's ongoing attacks on the softwood lumber industry is having serious impacts. We need to address this. British Columbia, being on the West Coast, has traditionally had many of its trading routes with Oregon and California, and now Donald Trump has tried to break that apart. So we need to see in Canada this cross-provincial alliances, the breaking down of trade barriers. We need to see the incredible British Columbia wines available in Ontario. If we're going to take American wines off the shelf, they have to be replaced by our domestic products. We also need to see better solidarity. We see David Eby has been very strong. Premier Wab Kinew in Manitoba has been very strong. You know, Doug Ford has certainly been elbows in your face. But what has Danielle Smith been doing? She's been trying to pick a fight with British Columbia over a pipeline that'll never get built. These are the politics of division. These are the politics of MAGA. But you know, nobody's buying the Danielle Smith message, especially Albertans. She is in a fight with her own people, 30,000 people marching against her to support the teachers and to stop Danielle Smith's attacks on public education. You don't see that kind of division here in British Columbia because you got a government that's working for the people, a government that's focused on the economic long-term vision. Because this is a trading province, this is a province with the critical minerals, with the copper, with the wood supplies, and the know-how to trade on the world. And British Columbians are second to none when it comes to innovation. So, from here at the legislature in British Columbia, this is Canada. This is who we are. And as Premier Eby said, when Donald Trump first threatened us, it was Premier Eby who said, this is a nation that will remain true, north, strong, and free. So, Meidas Canada, from the legislature building here in British Columbia in beautiful Victoria, and encouraging all our Meidas Canada and Meidas Mighty, all over the world, you have to come here. It's the most beautiful place. You will fall in love, honestly. This. You know, I find Victoria so otherworldly. We're here for the Meidas Canada Town Hall in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia. It's just such a magical place. I mean, coming from scrappy mining country like where I come from, where the snow starts in November and doesn't leave till, what, the end of April? And everything's still green here. Everything's so beautiful. But you know, this is home. This is Canada. The decency of the people here is same as the decency of the people everywhere. Everyone says good morning to you, have a good day. They don't know you, but they're your neighbor, even if you don't live here, because you're a Canadian and they're a Canadian. You know, I'm saying that not to be kind of sort of Pollyannish about being a Canadian, but there's a fundamental issue of decency that we are here to protect. And to stand up and speak up against, you know, the ugliness of the MAGA machine, the ugliness of the hate machine. You know, when you see Donald Trump with his AI imagery of him dumping diarrhea on his own citizens, and people can put up with that, it's not acceptable. There has to be a way that in a democratic world, well, in a way, when the democratic world is dying, that we defend democracy, because democracy is about respect for every life, for every person, to treat people with dignity and the rule of law. That's something that MAGA is against, and that's why they're against our country, and why it's so important that we maintain these values of civility and decency and a fierce pride that we're going to defend this. We're not pushovers. This is what Donald Trump didn't understand. He thought since we were nice and we said, oh, sorry, and we were polite, excuse me, the typical Canadian way, that meant that we were weak. No, that's not weakness, that's strength, because we know who we are. So, F around, find out. That's also something you can find here in Victoria or in any community in Canada. So, we're going to have a really, really good time while we're here in Victoria. We're learning a lot. We're going to bring back the lessons we learned here in British Columbia to the larger Meidas Canada and the Meidas Mighty family all over the world. And you can tell I'm promoting this place big time. Come on, folks. We're boycotting. The boycott's fun. Spend your money here. If you're in the United States, come on up to Victoria. Come on up to British Columbia. You will never regret it. Hey, fellow resistors, thanks so much for the incredible support you've given us since we launched Meidas Canada. We want to take you with us to show you this incredible land, to show you resistance, to give you analysis about standing up to the international threat of global gangsterism. But we need your help. Hit subscribe, Meidas Canada. Just go to the YouTube page, press subscribe. We have Charlie Angus Resistance Substack. Please join us there. And hey, if you want to make a contribution to help get this show on the road, to get us out there in the communities, get us across the country, you can just send a message to info@charlieangus.ca. Thanks so much. We really count on your support.